Craigslist is one of the best places to find great deals on just about anything. At the same time, it can be very dangerous. Not everyone's as innocent as you may think. You're obviously free to do your shopping anywhere you'd like. In the end, you'll probably wish you never did your shopping on Craigslist. I'm 19 years old, and I was doing some shopping on Craigslist. I noticed that some guy was selling an iPod Touch 3rd generation, and not only that, but some Blue Dream Dank. I thought I was dreaming for a second. To be honest, I could care less about the iPod Touch. All I really wanted was that Dank. So the guy's name is Gilbert. His contact information was his cell phone, so I immediately called him. I immediately let him know my name and what my interests were. He then told me what the price was, and I was still in complete shock to find out that it was about 5 times cheaper than regular price. You honestly can't find Dank anywhere this cheap, so I was definitely down to buy. I asked him if he wanted to meet up at a nearby parking lot, seeing that he only lived about 10 miles away. But he kept asking for my address. Although I found that kinda weird, I told him that I didn't want to give out my address, and told him I could meet him at his place instead. He agreed, and then he gave me his address. Once I got to his place, I noticed that the neighborhood was pretty run down. But because I was so eager to get some Dank, I kept ignoring the red flags. When I knocked, a very tall man, probably about 6'4", answered the door. He was wearing very baggy clothes, a hoodie, and a ski mask. I was literally about to turn around and leave until he asked me who I was. I nervously told him that my name was Sammy and that I was there to see Gilbert. He turned around, walked away, and started shouting for Gilbert. At which point, a short white male walked up to me and told me that he was Gilbert. He greeted me and then he welcomed me into his house. He seemed like a pretty nice guy. So I went inside and we sat down together, and then we talked business. He sat me down on this dirty ass couch in his dirty ass living room. And so far there was no iPod Touch or no Dank anywhere in sight. So I figured he was hiding it until he saw that I had the money. Now, although he seemed nice and all, he had this weird creepy grin on his face the entire time he was talking to me. He eventually asked me, "Where's the money?" Although he was smiling while saying it, it still came off kind of rude. I told him I had the money in my pocket, but that I wanted to see the iPhone and the Dank first. He just looked at me and said his friend was gonna bring it, but that I should put the money on the table before that, so that he knows he's not getting cheated. I honestly didn't want to show him the money first, but I felt quite vulnerable in this situation, so I went ahead and put the money on the table. Once I put the money on the table, he quickly snatched it up and started counting it. After he finished counting it, he looked at me and he was no longer smiling. He looked rather angry, even though that was the price that we negotiated on. He looked at me and then he said, "Is this it? Where's the rest of the money?" I told him if it's not enough, you can just give me my money back and I'll leave. He just looked at me with that pissed off look and said, "No, this is fine for now. Just wait till my friend comes back with the stuff and then you can leave." So me and that little short creep were just sitting there waiting for his friend to come back. We just continued sitting on the couch. It was dead quiet in the room. Very, very awkward. He just kept staring at me with a really angry look. I pretended not to notice, but I could basically feel his eyes piercing through my soul. I finally decided to stare back at him, hoping that he would stop staring at me. But he didn't stop staring. What he did next actually got a lot weirder and a lot creepier. That angry look he had, slowly but surely, started turning into a smile. But not a regular smile. It was more of a sinister smile, as if he was planning to do something really bad with me. My heart was pounding a mile a minute, and all I wanted to do was get up and leave. I didn't even care about my money anymore. I kept telling myself I think I could make it to the front door and then to my car and get the hell out of here. But at that point, 2 more men had just walked inside the house. Both of these men were basically dressed as the first large man. They both had baggy clothes and ski masks. I myself am only about 5'10" and I only weigh about 140 pounds. So I didn't feel very confident trying to take any of these guys on. And no, I didn't have a weapon. I guess I'm an idiot. The 2 large men that entered the door came and sat down next to me, but they forced me to sit in between them. The short white dude looked at me and said, "Are you sure you don't have any more money on you?" I looked at him shaking like hell and said, "No, that was it." Then he said, "Well, do you mind if we pat you down?" And then I said, "Well, yeah, that would make me feel pretty uncomfortable." The 2 guys I was sitting with just started laughing, as if I was making a joke. The man on my right started laughing hysterically, and then he put his hand on my knee. The large man from the back finally comes out, and he's just standing there in the living room with all of us. I tried to get a little brave, and I asked him, "Do you have my stuff so I can go already?" I told him that I had people coming to pick me up, and that they were gonna get pissed if I was late. I thought maybe they would believe this since I rode my bike over there. All of them just looked at me and started laughing as if I was some funny comedian making joke after joke. As a matter of fact, ever since I've been in the house, I haven't seen any iPod or any dank. However, I did notice that the large man that walked into the room was holding a gun. Once I saw the size of that gun, I couldn't help but take a huge number 2 on their couch. Both of the guys I was sitting with immediately smelled it. Then they got really angry. They quickly stood up and started shouting and swearing. The man with the gun got so pissed that he raised the gun to my head. He kept shouting, "Did you just shit on my couch?" All I could think was I'm about to be dead any second. Then my phone goes off. I got on the phone and all I said was, "Are you guys here already?" "Alright, cool." Then I told all the guys in the room, all my friends are sitting in the car parked outside, and they're gonna be pretty pissed if I don't leave with them. My friends are also heavily armed, so I hope you guys don't make a scene. They looked out their window, and across the street they could see another car parked out there full of men just sitting there. I honestly don't know who the hell they are, but I saw them parked out there while I was being yelled at. So when I got the phone call, I used my brain as quickly as I could, and that's the best that I could come up with. The short white guy looked at me and said, "Get the hell out of my house." I walked my bike over to that mysterious car and I asked the men inside if they could please give me a ride ASAP to the nearest gas station. They told me hell no. Then I told them that I had a debit card stuffed in my sock and that I got plenty of money in the bank. I told them I would withdraw $200 and give it to them, no questions asked. At which point they said, "Hop in." Still scared of what was going to happen to me, they actually did take me to the nearest gas station. I withdrew $200 and then they took it and left. From there, I called one of my friends to pick me up. I don't think I'll be getting on Craigslist anymore. He just looked at me and said, "Okay." Okay. Don't worry. He just looked at me and said, "Okay." Okay. Don't worry. Okay.